Brilliant. Serena Bellissimo, Spin 1038. Neil, Adeel, great to meet you both.
Hi. How
Hello,
you doing?
Serena.
I'm
Hello,
good.
Ireland.
It's great to have you guys here. Adeel, I've seen Sweet Tooth described as a mix between Bambi and Mad Max. Is that apt, or how would you describe it?
Do you know what? Neil just told me about it, and I remember reading it, maybe, or somebody told me about it, and I can't think of a better description, actually. Even if I was trying to, it has elements of both, and the combination of those two things, and sometimes one more than the other, but definitely those worlds, yeah.
Neil, Jim really wanted you for this project, and usually when you hear that, you're like, yes, I'm in. But you had to really audition for it. What was the process like?
Did Jim tell you that himself?
I saw that in the production notes.
Oh well, nobody ever told me, right?
He didn't write that.
Really
Somebody
nice
else put that in. That was
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm so fond of Jim and Linda. I met them the first time in Louisiana, around about my 40th birthday. Yeah. And it was just amazing. The bayous, the green. I was at a particularly, how would you say it, vital time in my life. And for him to have kept it in the back of his mind and then gave me the opportunity, and we worked through a series of these. I think it's an affirmation of something. I know not what, but I've got a great amount of gratitude for that. Wow.
Well, Adeel, what amazes me about projects like this is that, you watch it now and you go, okay, well, this all makes sense because we're all going through this right now. But this was written long before the pandemic. And then you start filming it during the pandemic in New Zealand. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, I think there was moments where you felt like the reality of what people were going through and the reality of the pandemic and lockdown. I think it sort of found its way into. There's a point in it actually where I have this sort of quite long speech to sort of talk about the struggles of what that is, and I just remember doing that on that day, feeling that sort of. It was a situation of me just having to say words as opposed to do any acting because it was something that we were all going through and we were all feeling.
Neil, usually during an intensive shoot like this, you can go back to family and friends, but when you're filming on the other side of the world in New Zealand, how do you decompress after a day when you don't have your family and friends around you? Is that when you lean heavily on the cast?
Well, my career, it's been 3 decades of being a project worker. So I'm rather accustomed to being in different, in fact, I've gotten so accustomed to the road that I almost don't know how to just be in one single place. I start missing the road. So that for me it wasn't rough going, I can tell you. I enjoy that. I enjoy going somewhere, meeting new people, creating afresh, that I'm at my best right there. When we did
wine also helps.
Sweet Tooth.
Wine also helps. Lovely wine.
It's for the truth, Adeel.
Sorry.
But I was feeling very, very sad. Oh, this is the thing that I don't want to say. I think the conditions that we living under and creating under, I would almost call it like a beautiful fatalism, because each day with this pandemic, you are reminded of the fact that you have breath, right? You breathe, and when it's done, it's done. So there's almost like a beautiful fatalism for me in any event, that to make every breath that I have count in a way. So being on the island of New Zealand at that time, where part of the mythology, the way they greet each other is with breath, there was almost a poetic quality about all of that. And then I felt very sad when I left to get on with life, I suppose. And here we are, and we're still alive. So Thank you for that.
Yeah, I suppose that is one thing that the pandemic has taught us, gratitude about the things that we used to take for granted. And I think, Adeel, when you're in a project like this as well, there must be life lessons that you take with you. What impact did this have on you?
Yeah, I think the life lessons that I felt during the project were the things that I sort of always knew were important. You know, the idea that people are important, communities of people are important, your connections with people are important, and it was sort of heartening to know that that's true. In this sort of story, this allegory that it's sort of telling, that's the thing that I sort of that's my takeaway from it. It's like the connections that these characters have with each other.
Yeah, and look, as I said, there's a lot that we can take from this series, but what we can also take is we can be entertained. So thank you for that.
Yeah, nice, good.
Thank
Great
you,
to meet
Ireland.
you both, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Serena.
Bye.
Bye.